Hi guys, Billy back, and this time we're going to be talking about what makes the best 1/6 scale figure in 2022 and beyond. Now there are some caveats to this. I have put up some certain rules, and the main rule is it has to be realistic. We can't say, oh, it'll be a fully silicone body with a cybernetic body underneath and it can tap dance across the freaking shelf. We can't do that. But what we can do, we can look at certain processes that are in place and the technologies of today and see how they would be implemented to make a really great figure starting from today. So the most important thing to start off with is character likeness. It needs to be amazing. To be honest, we've almost been spoilt by the quality we've seen over the past 5 years with talented sculptors in both the licensed and unlicensed departments. So much so that when we get an objectively bad head sculpt, we're actually quick to ridicule it. Whether it's a creepy smiling licensed Scott Lang head sculpt or an unlicensed Rambo that looks like a bunch of amputated testicles in a wet sack, a bad head sculpt is a certified deal breaker. And as head sculpts get better, between artist skills growing, 3D computer scanning and better paint techniques, we need to ensure that the sculpts stay away from that uncanny valley, which is growing wider by the day. Sculpts like Scott Lang's give us a sense of uneasiness as humans, because we believe a smile is so important to us, and when we see smiling statues, robots, dolls, etc., if they aren't executed exactly right, it can make us feel quite unsettled. So the perfect figure in 2022 and beyond has to have a nigh-on, amazingly detailed head sculpt while staying out of that uncanny valley. Next thing we have to concentrate on is the body, and it has to have the maximum amount of articulation that the costume design will allow. It needs to use materials that not only look amazing but assist in obtaining a decent level of posing. For too long we've had figures that look amazing but are nigh on statues because you just can't pose them around due to the materials used. And speaking of bodies, there is a new feature that is starting to emerge from the darkest depths of figure designers, and that is seamless forearms. For too long we've had to suffer from the dread that is the wrist peg, the gremlin of the 6 scale world. We spent hundreds of our hard-earned toy credits on these 1/6 scale works of art, only to fall at the mercy of the frickin' wrist peg snapping, and then spending the last few precious hours of our evening trying to coax the end of said wrist peg out of the hole it now occupies, instead of, fixing the cracks in the ceiling or learning another language or any of the other shit we aren't really going to do to improve our lives. So these pre-posed seamless forearm handsets could be just what the doctor ordered. However, they can't always give you the freedom you may need for any and all posing options. So the future of 1/6 scale is having both swappable seamless forearms and regular wrist peg and hand options. Oh, and just as a footnote, better painted hands that match the specific character rather than just stock hands. Let's get that next level of detail in the stock hands as well while we're at it. And while we're on the subject of hands, it would be nice to store them somewhere easily. Many 1/6 scale bases are getting taller and taller, and that's a whole lot of negative space that could be utilised as storage. I've seen too many tall bases with hollow insides that do have enough space to store those lovely accessories and hands, but just don't. For years I've had to plough through my storage boxes, hunting for that one hand that will make my Doctor Strange figure complete, or hunt down that one whipping hand that will make my Spider-Man the envy of Instagram. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just slide out a drawer at the back of the base and just be able to swap the hand out nice and quickly without too much fuss? It would just take a matter of seconds rather than going on that 30-minute pilgrimage to the bottom of my 14th compartment box, only to realise it was in the first frickin' box all along. That certainly would be nice. And now while we're on the subject of bases, the best figures always have really nice, well sculpted, well painted and appropriate for the character bases. Now I'm not just talking about them repurposing the same base over and over again because of money saving options and things like that. I'm just saying that the base needs to complement the character perfectly and have features that enhance the overall look of the figure and not just something that the figure stands on. For example, this could have had some cybernetic robot hands hanging off the side and stuff to make it look a bit more unique to Elite Art, rather than that stock stand that they've given us with battling cap and that Panzer figure. So basically I'm saying I would like more of the It Chapter 2 and Stealth Suit Spider-Man bases rather than the plain square ones with lackluster decals slapped on them. Oh, and while we're on it, If it has a blacklight feature, then include a friggin' blacklight light into the base somewhere, just to take advantage of it. I'm looking at you, Neon Tech and Antioch Spider-Man. And speaking more about light up features, easier access to our light up features on the figures going forward would be great as well. Advancement in lighting techniques need to be absorbed into the 6 scale figure design, because at the moment it's pretty bad. The 6 separate battery compartments for Iron Man have gotten real old real fast. With tech out there using USB power, magnetic connections and such like, I'd like to see the next evolution in integrated LED features creep into our high-end collectibles. Wouldn't it just be nice if there were just one button that you could use to turn all the lights on your Iron Man on, and it was integrated easily into just the figure or the base? Because right now, you practically need to do an advanced electrician's course if you want your Iron Man to seamlessly turn on with the rest of your lighting setup. All it takes is for one company to take it seriously enough, and then the rest of the design houses will have to follow suit and keep up. Next up, I'd like to see better attention to detail. We've all seen those prototypes that not only have a master painter doing the head sculpts, but also the amazing weathering of the clothing. We've also experienced that mild disappointment when we've opened a box after a 2-year wait period, only to see a significant drop off in the weathering that the prototype promised. Some even came with no weathering at all. So from now on, I'd like to see better proto to final release quality overall. Whether that's by dialing back the prototypes quietly or getting the clothing to have another pass through on the painting production line to elevate the level of quality they promised. And again, on a similar subject, let's just get this out of the way. Leather. Sure, it looks nice now, but in 5 to 10 years it will crumble faster than Tottenham's average Premier League season. And considering sculpting processes have advanced to the point where we can replicate leather textures effectively without the use of pleather, I don't see why we need to use it anymore. And even when there is no other option, why not just use real leather? The collectors would just truly appreciate the better quality materials used overall. And finally, there are 2 camps when it comes to sculpted or rooted hair. Me, I'm in the whatever works best for the figure camp, but I completely understand the sculpted hair camp. It's less fuss, it's properly sculpted, and doesn't floof up over time as dust starts to grind into the follicles. And as a collector with open shells, dust is a constant issue for me. However, there are a few times when it clearly was the wrong choice for the figure, Alita being a prime example. But when rooted hair is the chosen route taken by a figure company, it's best to go with quality. Doll hair is notoriously used in 1/6 scale, and the best figures going forward would use more natural, thinner, quality hair, like the ones from specific kinds of sheep or cats. So to summarise, the best figure of 2022 and beyond will have an amazing likeness to the character being portrayed without Uncanny Valley. The rooted hair will be of a far higher quality. The clothing and body will work in tandem to maximise articulation as well as aesthetics. Both wrist peg and full forearm sculpts to maximise our options. Quality base that is perfectly catered to represent the character more, including a handy place to store accessories should the stand allow it. Easier access to light up features, whether through USB, 1-button connections or via magnetic connectors. Plus another pass through at the weathering paint station to maximise realistic weathering effects. Better proto to final product release. Oh, and minimum to 0 pleather where possible. What do you guys think would make the best figure for 2022 and beyond? Now that's not me griping at the 1/6 scale figures that are currently in production or being designed. They're amazing, but I'm just saying, if we were to really sit down, have all the time in the world to design these things, what would the best figure look like? And those are my choices for what the best figure could actually be. What's your choices? Sound off in the comments below and let me know. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you do me a favour now. If you get the fuck out of my cave, I've got to go put all the figures back and everything because I've pulled loads of shit out and made a mess in this room. So the rest of my day is tidying crap up. Thanks a lot guys. Bye bye.